I raised my daughter alone, 24 years of it. No mistakes, no dramatic phone calls from police stations, no surprise pregnancies or drug problems. She was the kind of kid other parents envied. Mature, responsible, the type who'd call if she was going to be late. Then she told me she was dating her former teacher. I remember standing in my kitchen, hands still wet from washing dishes, and thinking, of all the men in the world, he was 41. Distinguished, people said, respected. He worked with university students on projects that attracted serious money, the kind of man who wore expensive watches and rarely smiled. She'd met him when she was studying biochemical engineering, before she dropped out, before everything changed. But here's what I didn't know then. Everything was already changing. They had a daughter 4 years ago. My granddaughter. I barely saw her. That might sound dramatic, but it's the truth. I'd call and my daughter would say, he's having a difficult week with work, or we're just settling into a new routine. I'd drive over and they wouldn't answer the door. I'd send gifts and get polite thank you notes in handwriting that wasn't hers. His, probably, correcting her grammar. One Christmas, I drove to their house uninvited. I was their grandmother. I wasn't going to miss it. He answered the door, didn't invite me in, said they were having a quiet family day. Behind him, I could see my daughter frantically tidying the living room, nervous as a teenager caught breaking curfew. Come next weekend, he said. Not a question, a directive, like he was assigning a project deadline. I didn't go. The first time I really noticed something was wrong, wrong, not just awkward or disappointing, was about 3 years into their marriage. She came to my house for coffee, just coffee. No her husband, no her daughter, just her. She looked different, thinner. Her nails were bitten down to the quick, and there was a trimmer in her hands when she lifted her cup. She'd always been graceful, controlled. This version of her was wound so tight I thought she might snap. How are you? I asked carefully. Good, she said, immediately, too immediately. Really good, everything's good. People who are good don't answer like that. I watched her drink her coffee. She kept checking her phone, checking it, putting it down, picking it up again. I recognized the pattern. I'd seen it in myself during bad relationships, in friends, in the mothers at school pickup who seemed perpetually anxious. Sweetheart, I said, are you happy? She looked at me like I'd asked her a question in a language she'd forgotten, like she had to translate it into something she could understand. Of course, she said. Why would you ask that? Because you don't look happy. You look scared. For a second, just a second, her face crumpled. I saw it, the real version of her, the one she kept hidden. Then she rebuilt herself, tile by tile, until the facade was back. I'm fine, Mom. I'm just tired. Over the next year, I noticed the details, the way she talked about him, not to me, but about him, constantly. Every conversation eventually circled back to him. His opinions, his preferences, his schedule, his moods. It was like he'd become her entire solar system, and she was just a moon spinning around his gravity, giving off only reflected light. She'd gained weight, then lost it all. Started wearing clothes that were 2 sizes too big, like she was trying to disappear into them. Her voice got smaller. Her laugh disappeared. And she was always doing things for him. I found out he was a perfectionist. But perfectionist is such a bland word for what he actually was. He was a man who needed everything arranged in perfect rows. And if someone refused to fit the pattern, he simply withdrew. My daughter ironed his shirts, all of them. She said he preferred them done in a specific way. She cooked dinner every night. He didn't like going out to restaurants, said the food was pedestrian and the noise bothered him. She managed the household, the child, the finances, the social calendar. He managed nothing. He just existed in the center of it all, demanding perfection from a world that was terrified of disappointing him. Here's what really got to me. He barely touched her. I saw it firsthand during one of my rare visits. She hugged him when he came home from work, literally wrapped her arms around him, desperate for some kind of connection, and he just stood there. Didn't hug her back, didn't push her away, but didn't respond either. He was a statue, and she was begging a statue for love. Then he patted her head, not affectionately, but like she was a dog that had performed a trick, and walked to his study. She stood there for a moment after he left, her arms still half raised, like she was surprised to find them empty. That's when I knew Something was genuinely broken. "Does he ever hold you?" I asked her later, quietly, when he was out of earshot. She looked confused by the question. "Of course. Sometimes." "When?" "I don't know. Before bed, sometimes. Not always. He's very tired." He's very tired. God. She made excuses for every coldness, every rejection, every moment he made her feel like her love was an inconvenience. Her daughter, my granddaughter, barely knew him. He'd come home, she'd run up to him excitedly, and he'd tell her to be quiet because he needed to work. After a while, she stopped trying. He got diagnosed with cancer last year. Stage 3. Aggressive. The kind where doctors use words like significant treatment and quality of life. He started chemotherapy immediately. His hair fell out. He lost weight. He became, in the most clinical sense possible, fragile. And he responded by becoming even more withdrawn. Here's the thing about some people. They can't handle vulnerability. They can't stomach the idea that they're not in control, that their bodies might betray them, that they might need someone. So instead of reaching for comfort, they reach for distance. They retreat into work and projects and anything that makes them feel powerful again. He buried himself in his work. His body responded well to the treatment, the doctor said, but he refused to slow down, refused to rest, refused to let anyone take care of him, least of all my daughter, who was desperate to prove her love by nursing him back to health. My daughter fell apart. And I mean that literally. I walked into her house one Tuesday and found her in the kitchen at 2 p.m. in her pajamas, unwashed, with coffee rings standing the counter and dishes piled in the sink. This was a woman who used to color code her calendar. "I haven't slept in 3 days," she told me. "Why not?" "I'm worried he won't sleep either. I don't want him to be alone at night." She was sleeping in a chair next to his bed. "Honey, he's going to be fine. The doctor said—" "I can't lose him," she said. Her voice was strange, flat, like something inside her had already died. "Mom, I can't. I don't know who I am without him." That sentence, I'll never forget it. I don't know who I am without him. She was 29 years old. She had a daughter. She had a career she'd abandoned, a degree she'd never finished, dreams she'd shelved like library books she planned to read someday. And the only identity she had left was his wife. Over the next few months, I watched my daughter disappear. Not metaphorically, actually disappear. She became skeletal. Her clothes hung off her like she was wearing costumes from someone else's life. She stopped showering regularly, stopped doing anything that wasn't directly related to him. She lost weight so drastically that I made her go to the doctor. The doctor said she was nutritionally depleted and showing signs of severe anxiety. He prescribed antidepressants, which she took inconsistently, forgetting sometimes or deciding her energy was better spent on him. She'd stopped seeing her friends. She didn't have time, she said. Stopped going out, stopped having hobbies. Stopped, essentially, having a life. And the worst part? He still barely acknowledged her. I watched him one afternoon while she made him lunch. She'd prepared something special, some kind of protein dish she'd researched because it was supposed to help with his recovery. She brought it to him in his study like she was serving a king. He glanced at it. "I'm not hungry." She stood there, holding the plate, waiting for something. A thank you, an acknowledgement, anything. "You can leave it," he said, already turning back to his laptop. She left it and came back to the kitchen. I was sitting there pretending I hadn't seen anything, and she started crying. Just broke. Sat down at the table and sobbed like her heart was breaking because it was. "He doesn't even see me," she whispered. "I know, baby. I know. I don't want to live without him. I can't. What's the point?" Those words hit me like a slap. "The point," I said, "is that you have a 4-year-old daughter who needs her mother." She flinched, like I'd criticized her, like I'd pointed out a failure. "I know, I'm failing her. I'm failing everyone." "You're not failing, but you're drowning, and he's not going to save you because he's drowning too. The difference is, he chose this. You didn't have to." She didn't respond, just sat there, tears running down her face, and I knew that she wasn't hearing me. She was already thinking about him, already planning how to be better for him, how to fix this, how to earn back his attention. My granddaughter now spends more time at my house than at her own. I pick her up from school, I give her dinner, I help her with homework, I tell her stories and brush her hair and tuck her in at night.
I'm raising my daughter's child because my daughter is too busy raising a man who doesn't love her. One night my granddaughter asked me, "Why doesn't Daddy like Mommy?" I didn't know what to say. How do you explain to a 4-year-old that sometimes adults trap themselves? That sometimes love isn't about being loved back. It's about proving something to yourself, even if that something is a lie. "He does like your mommy," I said finally. "Sometimes adults have a hard time showing how they feel." "Does Mommy like Daddy?" "Yes, very much." She thought about this. "That's not fair." I pulled her close. "No, baby, it's not fair at all."
My daughter calls me crying at least twice a week. She says things like, "What if something happens to him?" And "I don't know who I am without him." And the one that terrifies me most, "Maybe it's not worth living without him." I tell her about her daughter. I remind her that she has a PhD program she abandoned, that she used to read books for pleasure, that she had friends who haven't heard from her in years. I tell her that she's disappearing, and if she keeps going, one day she'll look in the mirror and won't recognize the person looking back. She nods. She says she understands. And then she goes back to him and tries harder, cooks better meals, irons his shirts more carefully, erases herself more completely. Here's what I can't figure out. Is he capable of love, or is he just incapable of showing it? Was this relationship doomed from the beginning, or did my daughter choose to drown herself in it? Does he know what he's doing to her, or is he too wrapped up in his own survival to notice? And the biggest question, the one that keeps me awake at night, how do I save her? Because I can save my granddaughter. I'm already doing that. But my daughter is an adult. She's made choices. And the hardest thing about loving someone is knowing that you can't choose for them. You can't want their life more than they do. All I can do is be here, show up, remind her that she exists, tell her that she matters separate from him, that her life has value even if she doesn't see it right now. Some days I think she hears me. Some days I see a flicker of the woman she used to be, the one who studied biochemical engineering, the one who laughed without checking to make sure it was appropriate first, the one who believed she could be something on her own. But most days, I watch my daughter disappear into the life she's chosen, and I'm helpless to stop it. The only thing I know for certain is this: love shouldn't cost you everything. If it does, it's not love. It's a cage. And my daughter has learned to love her cage so much that she's forgotten what freedom looks like.
I don't have an ending yet, not a real one. Maybe she'll wake up one day and choose herself, choose her daughter, choose a life where she's more than just someone's wife. Or maybe she won't. Maybe she'll keep spiraling, keep shrinking, keep hoping that one day he'll finally hold her back the way she holds him. And maybe, and this is what scares me most, maybe one day he'll die. Cancer or age or a car accident. Something. And then she really will have nothing because she never built a self to fall back on. I'm trying to make sure my granddaughter doesn't learn this lesson. Every night when I tuck her in, I tell her, "You are enough. By yourself right now. You don't need anyone to make you valuable." She's 4. I don't know if she understands. But I keep telling her anyway, over and over, trying to build something in her that my daughter lost somewhere along the way. A sense of self. A reason to survive that isn't about someone else. A life that belongs to her.